Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Steelfur Speaks. This is my Flesh and Blood channel. Steelfur has been around for about 4 years now. I aim to be straight talking, honest. I bring news to the competitive circuit. I review LSS's choices, events, decisions, and try and bring a bit of constructive criticism as well as, love for the game to any discussion that I have. On the topic today, obviously we like to react whenever James White does an interview, see what he says, and add viable discussions. And remember, our biggest metric for reacting to these interviews is to add another layer of analysis and critical discussion. I have several react videos I've recorded to interviews where I finished the recording and I said at the end of the recording, I don't think I added enough, and I've just deleted the video and not bothered posting it. So at the end of this video, if you've watched it, let me know. Did I add another layer of discussion to this video? Do you think I've just been talking to myself for half an hour for no reason? Let me know how you think I did, and if you think I did well, do give a like and subscribe to the channel. And also, please do, the original video is linked in the description. Please do go through there and link it and like it and, give it a bit of a watch and, show Fluke your love, because obviously the original video wasn't done. I couldn't do the secondary level of analysis on it and further discussion, and react content is by its nature vampirism, so please save me from that by showing some love to the original video as well.
James White.
Also, this view, James White is looking very, very healthy. He's on his home turf and they're doing an event at the top of a mountain. I absolutely adore this.
Fluke, how you
Good to
doing?
see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Great to be back on your show.
It's been a while.
Yeah, a year, calling Auckland.
About a year,
Yeah. This time last year.
I like doing them in person.
Yeah, me too.
It's different.
Yeah.
We are on top of the world. This is Skyline in Queenstown.
Coming to you live from the Celebrational, top of the mountain. Look at that view.
This is a surreal place.
Yeah, man.
It's like tapestry.
Yeah.
The colors. I've spent a week here just holidaying, and this was a great idea.
I love it. Play the game, see the world, man. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about. And, we brought the Celebrational participants and guests down there, and we said, look, we're going to show you the best that our little island nation at the bottom of the world has to offer, and this is it. Straight out the window there. That's it. Best in New Zealand.
So most people probably don't know this. There's like 70 people here.
Yeah, 72 in the group.
Yeah, because I think people see the players and go, oh, there's like 12. But there's like, these guys flew in a lot of people. I saw distributors, printers,
Yeah.
big customers. There's a lot. There's a big collective.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was just the players and the LSS crew, but it's really great that they've put on this event for all their partners and stuff. The Celebrational looks fantastic. If it was anywhere closer than New Zealand, I would 100% be there myself. Just it's a long way to go.
Here.
Yeah. And
Very
a lot of plus ones, a lot of partners, and
Kids.
DM Amada came down with his dad.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool just to see.
I would not bring my dad to a Flesh and Blood event, but I would 100% bring my mum. She is absolute gas. I can see her making better friends with literally everyone, including the LSS team, than I would, and just running rampant over everyone and being the life of the party. It would just be so funny.
People come down and enjoying New Zealand, playing some great Flesh and Blood, but yeah, seeing the best that New Zealand has to offer.
So I got a few questions. We're going to get kicked out in a little while. Some of these are community questions. Some are mine.
All good.
You're not wearing a polo.
Well, look, we've got a few days left in the weekend yet. I have packed one. We'll
What
be at
brand of polo do you wear?
only one brand, Ralph Lauren, the original, the OG polo.
Respect. Yeah.
This was probably one of the most asked questions, and I actually saw something. I think you actually addressed it before I got here. Japan local language.
Yeah,
How's that looking?
it's looking good. You're going to be seeing it in May.
is this-
Next big booster set release, yeah.
Wow. So this is huge. For those people not in the know, Japan is, in terms of TCG markets and TCG appetites, it is so huge. There are already stores in Japan that are FAB-only stores, and they've just been mass buying English language singles online from the other places in Southeast Asia. There are loads of people in Japan who don't speak, English well, even on the TCG scene. So once this comes live, it's absolutely huge. This is going to be a fantastic for LSS if the game takes off in that country. It's going to bring so many new players to the market. and they're really committed to TCG. So watch your crown. US, Japan is probably coming for you.
So is that a calling, a pre-release? What's the goal?
Well, I don't want to spill all the beans, but we're pretty keen to have world premieres alongside the release of our big booster set releases this year. So obviously, Queenstown for heavy hitters, with the launch of localized Japanese language with the next booster set, more likely than not, the world premiere will be somewhere close to home for our Japanese fans.
Yeah, so that's kind of like a calling Japan, sealed world premiere calling Japan. That's pretty awesome. That's actually really awesome. Good for Japan, yeah.
I will be there. That's exciting.
You better, but you don't want to miss this one. It's going to be good. I'll be there too.
Obviously, people that have followed these interviews know that you have a background in Yu-Gi-Oh! Among other games.
Yeah.
Which parts of Fab had some inspiration from Yu-Gi-Oh?
If you're thinking about it mechanically, like, you could draw some parallels between setting traps and the arsenal. Like, there was a little bit of stuff going on there, with the way that sort of defense reactions in particular work from Arsenal was kind of trap-like. I would say that's not why the Arsenal was developed. The Arsenal was ultimately developed into their initial game design as a way to be able to craft hands and synergies. Otherwise you would just be at the mercy of.
And it's worked incredibly well, by the way. The Arsenal is one of the nicest parts of Flesh and Blood design. It takes what is draw 4 cards every turn into actual elements of long-term strategy planning and the ability to sort of have a long-term combo setup and store a piece of a dual synergy. It completely changes the game in a fantastic way. The Arsenal is one of the sort of highlights of Fab design that I don't think the game would work with the 4 cards a turn card draw kind of tempo that it has if the Arsenal didn't exist. It would have to have a lot more permanence to actually function.
The 4 random cards that you draw each turn, where the Arsenal actually lets you set a card and wait to pair it up with other cards that will come in future hand cycles. But you can certainly draw some parallels. Things like in Yu-Gi-Oh! You have your XEs summons, which have materials underneath them, and there's a little bit of parallels there between the dusts, which are literally had the material mechanic and our dragons, where and more recently with the Evos and cards that go underneath other permanents that have relevancy. So there's bits and pieces like that. As far as product configuration goes, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has 24 count displays, and some of the rarity and mixing, has taken some inspiration from Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. There's a lot of really interesting things that Konami has done with Yu-Gi-Oh! Over the years, and we were really involved with their product, and we were really proud of what we did with Yu-Gi-Oh! In the 10 years that we, represented that brand in New Zealand and really nurtured a fantastic community across New Zealand and ran a lot of great events for Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're really proud of what we did with the game, and I think that each TCG has something.
But one of the things I will say, is he talks about playing for 10 years in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that one of the things I appreciate about Flesh and Blood from someone who's been playing card games since they were 9, is that it does feel like Flesh and Blood has learned the lessons of TCGs that have come before it. And we talk about, TCGs have been around for 30 years now, 35 years or so. Maybe with Magic and things like that, maybe slightly longer in terms of smaller board games style TCGs and things like that. There's a very clear distinction between those modern TCGs, the new TCGs that have learned the lessons of the past and tried to become these smoother, frictionless, fun playing experiences. And for me, the older TCGs like Magic and things like that are still clunky. They still have clunky ways to get resources. They still the deck can screw you more often than it helps you, those kind of things. So one of the things I do appreciate when he talks about the fact that he's worked in Yu-Gi-Oh! For 10 years is you can see the TCG experience that has gone into the design of Flesh and Blood that has made it a more effective card game, and learned some of the lessons from the past. So I really do appreciate that.
Something special about it, and we try and take inspiration from all different parts of the gaming industry and the wider world as well. So yeah, I'm proud of our history with Yu-Gi-Oh! And what we did.
Will we ever see a white border cold foil?
I don't think so.
You hate white borders.
I wouldn't say that I hate them. I think that they have an important place in the overall ecosystem of the game.
Good. Some people might want that, but no one I know wants that, right? White borders are nice because they're non-foil, super cheap, We don't need another level of rarity in this game. It's already good enough to go, white border, non-foil, cold rainbow foil, cold foil. And in fact, I would actually argue that a lot of the cold foil commons and stuff like that could potentially go away. I would kind of be happy enough to just go non-foil, rainbow foil, cold foil, marvel, but that's a different discussion.
And collectability, I think the intention is that the black border cards are supposed to be sort of the creme de la creme, and I think we want to just sort of preserve the cold foils as being sort of at the peak of that, and just keeping them on the black border cards. Yeah.
Fair. My friend German, he's actually Russian. His name's German. It's hard to explain. Yeah. He wanted to know, what tips would you give to someone who wants to win the next Worlds?
Just you got to practice a lot, man, and get some good people around you who are really, really good at playing Flesh and Blood, who are way better than you, play a lot of games, lose a lot, and learn.
There's again, one of the more popular questions on a more serious note is the bottom of the cards has changed.
Yeah.
I think that started in Bright Lights. The Evos were the first ones we saw.
Yeah.
What led to the change?
Okay. So the change proper comes with heavy hitters, right? And you can see that there's a bigger black border at the bottom of the card. So that's actually a manufacturing thing. Now that we're printing in so many different languages, currently, 5 with the Japanese being the 6th, the machines need these codes to make sure that the right languages are going into the right place. And you may or may not be aware, but there was actually an issue, I think it was with Dust Till Dawn, where the cold foils from the Italian print run went into the Spanish boosters, and the Spanish ones went into the Italian boosters, which was really not good.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but it is that's 100% not good. That's actually crisis mode for the manufacturers and for LSS. Delivering the wrong language product cards in a booster is huge in terms of problems. It's good to get an answer to this. A lot of people were confused by the change. Some people didn't like it. Some people just don't like change. It looks fine. It looks good. It's okay. It's a small change. If it gets the manufacturing up to that 99% level of accuracy, then that's what you want to see. And it doesn't matter if the aesthetic has to change slightly to achieve that.
And having the language codes actually printed onto the cards is a manufacturing sort of requirement to prevent that, so that the machines can read that language code.
Good.
I think
Good.
that this will one day help with sorting machines. When
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Because I know that's an issue with Fab cards is it's clean, but there's limited info on the card face.
Exactly. Yeah, we just need more space to print some of these key information, particularly the language code, but it gives us more space to display the artists and the rarity badges and things like that.
And it looks good.
It's
It does.
more,
I think it
more
looks good.
functional rather than form. If I'm being honest, I like the original design more, but it kind of gets to the point where sometimes you have to compromise in some areas just for a bigger reason.
As a singles vendor,
Manufacturing quality is the highest thing to achieve, right? If you have to change the border or the layout or something like that to make sure the cards are consistently coming out, cut in the right way, in the right place, in the right language, then you just do it. You just get on with it, right?
seeing the language written is much quicker sorting than guessing the language in the European ones. I know the difference, but it's not always obvious on first glance.
Yeah, I think the new border it still looks great. I think they're beautiful looking cards.
Oh, they're clean. Yeah. Shimmers of silver has not been printed in cold foil. Does it exist in cold foil?
I think it's common. It's in something. Yeah, I think it's and maybe.
Oh, I know Illusionist players who are going to be very happy. Illusionist just gets loads of cold foils because the art is fantastic. I think there are fans at LSS who love the art. But I think everyone could look at the Illusionist art and say, wow, this is really good. So Shimmers of Silver in cold foil. That's Chef's Kiss. That's beautiful.
Maybe upcoming judge pack or something, but I know it's on the planner. Yeah, we know. We're keeping track of those cold foil Illusionist auras for sure.
The last time we spoke, we were talking...
It's because Illusionist is his favourite class, and he wants all the cards in cold foil. That's why he's got all the dragons, and he wants all the Illusionist auras as well. And just so you know, that's why. He'll tell you it's Wizard, he'll tell you it's something else. It's actually Illusionist. And he's making sure all those Marvels and the cold foils are out there so he can have a completely blinged out deck of Illusionist cards.
At Everfest. Since we spoke last, I opened a single store. It's been like this is at my
Look at this guy. Look at this is just a guy. Just
Congratulations, man. Yeah, thank you so much.
There's a guy paragliding in the background. This location is so damn awesome. Like, actually amazing. Also, congrats to Fluke, who has opened a single store. I've seen good feedback about his single store. Apparently he's quite good on pricing, and he doesn't let people do like mass orders. So he prices fairly, and he also doesn't let someone just order 15 cards. So if he's priced it fairly according to the market, someone can't just buy him out and then list it higher, which I think is like a good stance for a single store to take. I know I've seen other single stores in the UK to take that angle as well, which is like, if I'm offering a fair price, I can't let someone do a huge order. And then people got annoyed at them, and they were like, well, I just want to buy 15 cards and resell them. Why don't you want my money? And they're like, well, actually, it's more about the community having the cards and being able to get them easily than one person making profit. So why would I sell to you in large quantities just so you can mark them up on Card Market? So yeah, I've heard good things about Fluke's singles store, so congratulations to him. I'm glad it's going well.
Everfest is probably our biggest selling set.
Okay, a lot of good cards.
But we talked about Unlimited, and you said Mark is not ready.
Yep.
We've got it, but it's not coming.
Yeah.
Any update on that?
Yeah. Well, it's never coming, actually. So
wow.
I'm glad that you asked me, because you asked me the same question exactly a year ago at the Calling Auckland, and yeah, like you say, I said that the market wasn't ready for it. I don't think the market ever needs it, and the entire print run was actually destroyed.
Wow.
That is absolutely huge. Like, when we were tracking, I sat down, I tried to track and predict all of the Everfest. Let me see if I can bring it up. I tried to predict, because we had the print runs, all of sort of the print cycles and what they were going to look like, right? And the fact is that like the presence of so much of the Everfest really was a bit of a concern, right? Where are we? I can just bring this on the screen for a second. Right, I mean, this is not, don't take these numbers as anything official. This is me trying to do some sort of business analyst maths on the numbers, right? But we were told, okay, that there was 229,000 boxes of Everfest first edition printed, right? Which was 10% growth from the amount of first edition printed of the previous set, right? Now, we know that there is a lot of Tales of Aria Unlimited still around, right? And to an extent, there's still a bit of Monarch Unlimited still around, that we had a big chunk of that going through, right? So, it is interesting to see like what the numbers were going to look like here. And you'll see, if we look down here where we're doing like steady growth predictions, right? So we know to an extent how much Monarch Unlimited was printed. And if we look at this and we kind of assume that they're adding 10 or 20% per set, which would kind of match player growth figures, if you looked at the Armory statistics before they made them hidden, you could see that every time a draft set came out, the number of people registering for Armories went up by about 20%. So if you assume 20% set growth for every set, then it doesn't make sense, or even 10%. It never made sense to have unlimited Everfest, right? Because you have these tiny print runs for Arc, WTR, followed by huge unlimited. You have it ramping up a bit for crew, and then you have this big flip where they switch so much into Monarch first, and they print less Monarch Unlimited, though we don't know the actual number, I think, for Monarch Unlimited that was printed. But then it doesn't make sense after that, if you've got a 66% jump in the amount of first edition available to deal with the increased demand, to suddenly then print, another 150,000 boxes of Unlimited, right? So that, this is still available in the market. Everfest First Edition is still available. You can still buy it. There's no actual need for Everfest First Edition. And there was no point in my mind where if they release that, it's not going to flood the market, right, in a negative way. There's no Majestic in Everfest that's stupidly expensive and hard to achieve. And you know, all this time, Fab will have been paying, LSS will have been paying warehouse fees, storage fees, obviously getting a lot of questions and doubt from their suppliers, like, are you going to force Everfest Unlimited on us? Are we going to have to push that next? We really don't want it. We're really not seeing the appetite. And I think destroying it was a brave choice, but probably the smart choice. Because, I mean, ultimately, if the market can't hold it, then it's just not worth having. And I think getting rid of it is 100% a fantastic decision. And also, like, there's nothing... You know, they've still got this History Pack 1, History Pack 2, History Pack 3 option with the white borders coming, and they might still do that at some point in the future. So the Everfest cards are going to be in that. So if at some point we do get to a crunch with Everfest cards, and, you know, there is a broader discussion there about, you know, the fact that Fab is an evergreen game, the fact that the WTR cards and the generics and stuff like E-Strike are not going to cycle out. There is sort of a discussion about what do you do when those cards become really hard to get. You know, for example, if an entire country full of TCG fanatics like Japan joins the Fab world and suddenly E-Strikes and CNCs start surging, you know, hopefully LSS have planned ahead and the reprint is in the Japanese product that comes out, etc., etc. But, you know, there is still that context, right? But we have that history pack option always to fire on to print the cards again, as well as reprints. So we just don't need Everfest Unlimited, and it's just fantastic that they've gone ahead and done this. And I've already seen in various Discords that I'm in, there's been a bit of chatter from collectors saying, thank God that's done. Thank God, you know, they've just made this stand on it. It makes me feel a lot more confident about the numbers and all these other kind of stuff. You know, so I think this is going to be really received quite well by a lot of members of the community.
Half a year ago, so the world will never see Everfest Unlimited. Although, fun fact, there are 11 cases in existence. There is 10 cases that we kept at LSS, and we'll do something fun with them in the future, you know, maybe prize wall or some special feature or giveaway promotion. One case randomly by accident got shipped out to a store in the middle of New Zealand about a year ago. They had ordered Everfest, you know, first edition obviously, and our warehouse accidentally shipped out one case of Unlimited, and the store was annoyed, you know, as you would expect. So there's somewhere in the middle of the North Island there is one case of Everfest Unlimited that is in circulation, probably in the rubbish.
There's a photo of that. That's how people know it exists.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a photo of an Everfest booster with Unlimited on it.
Yeah.
So for those who are using their calculators like I am, there are 1,056 Everfest Unlimited boosters in the world, which actually makes it the rarest booster to have in your collection. So if you are a single pack collector or a box collector, actually there is now this incredibly super rare product, which probably has no cards you want in it, but is also super rare. So, you know, there's now this massive thing that you could get. I mean, someone is going to crack open a box of Everfest Unlimited, and it's suddenly gone from being worthless to being, like, the rarest booster collectible in Flesh and Blood. Except maybe Judge Packs. I mean, yeah, but those aren't boosters. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually not what I expected your answer
Yeah.
to be. Guys, if you don't own a box of Everfest First Ed, now you know it's very limited.
It is, yeah.
Whatever the print run is, it's not that accessible that won't run out because it's so evergreen. What the cards in it?
Yeah, it has a lot of great cards in it. You know, the Swing Bigs, the you know, Glooming Swarm Veils, there's just a lot of good cards. You know, Mirage and
Swing Big alone
Metamorph, yeah.
All the blue auras.
Yeah, just
Even
a ton
Starvo for LL, if you want the bling version, you got to get it in there.
Yeah, a ton of great cards in it. But you know, this is just reflective of LSS's position towards how we manage our supply chain. A lot of publishers, they print and then they dump all of the volume into the distributors that then have to digest it. And you know, if it's slow moving or problematic, you know, it just gets discounted and you know, the channels get stuffed. Or you know, some publishers are well known for doing Amazon dumps, for example. You know, LSS really does try to take a responsible approach to the market. We want our distributors to only order into the demand that exists at the retail level. We don't force distributors to take any specific quantity, and we're the ones who actually take that inventory holding risk. You know, we sit on that inventory in our warehouse and we ship it off to get shredded when the market doesn't need it. So
also, just to be a bit sobering and just remind people of recent history, you know, the Monarch First Edition was massively overhyped by one or two of the retailers. which led to the prices being spiked way above what they were, considering the amount that actually got printed, which led to a lot of local and negative backlash against LSS and print run numbers, etc., etc. Tales of Aria Unlimited was probably overprinted. There's still tons of it floating around in the market. So, they have done this, and it is, LSS, they are correct, though, so I have heard from other people, they do store a lot of the products themselves. They don't necessarily try and flood the market with them all the time. But just to put this in the proper context, there have already been several moments where there has been too much of the product going into the market. The stores haven't wanted to absorb it. It has kind of sat there, and I will say, like, a complete deference to them, it is hard to get print run numbers right for a new TCG that is in both going through massive spike growth phases and more steady growth phases as well. Like, do you increase your print run by 30%? Are you going to get 30% new player base this set? Or do you do it by 10%? Do you be conservative? It is hard to get that number perfect unless you're a huge company that's seen 10% growth every year for 10 years, and you can say, okay, we're always going to print 10% more. Like, it's hard to get that perfectly right. So, and I think they have succeeded more often than they have not. But I do feel like if I'm being fair and honest, it is just worth flagging that certainly in the markets I'm in and the people I've been talking to, there have been a few instances of print run friction, of products not shifting in that way, and of certain products that felt like they were overprinted for a while. And there is a reason why we had massive return to Monarch drafts and things like that. There is product being eaten away by these revisitation series and using it for nats and all this kind of stuff. And I do believe genuinely that part of the reason for that was not only to celebrate Dusk to Dawn, but also the fact that there was still a lot left at the distributor level that needed to be shifted. So it made sense to do a national season where we revisited it. And of course, it also made sense for a lot of other reasons, like the fact that when Monarch came out originally to draft, COVID was still everywhere, and there was a lot of feedback when we were drafting Monarch that people were really excited to draft Monarch, so because they didn't have a chance during COVID. So it is like a full mixed grab bag here, but I feel like as an objective sort of commentator, it is my duty, I guess, to point out that they're doing this because they don't think there is market demand, but also based on the context that in the past there have been a few times when market demand hasn't been correctly guessed properly, and I feel like doing it again would start to cause more doubt. Like, they need to be treating their distribution, their supply chain and their stores well, and not trying to give them products that they don't want to sell, especially given the context that it has happened once or twice before. It's just good. It's good for them to be aware of this as well, because as he said, other game companies are perfectly happy to dump on Amazon to keep pushing product that stores don't want to sell direct to customers, and it turns stores off the game. And to a certain extent, Hasbro can get away with it because they're so big and there's such a demand and such a market for MTG. But smaller TCGs can't do that. Smaller TCGs are at the mercy of local stores to keep building community and keep working for them. So, that's just a big context here.
This is one such example, but it's not the only example. Other boosters as well have been sent to the shredders to be recycled when the market doesn't need it. And, that's our way of, respecting the secondary market and trying to be responsible. We think that that's a real big point of difference with the way that LSS actually thinks about this, for the...
Based on that, I'm really keen to see the actual print run numbers for the last few sets and see whether they've got, the same curve, whether it's, set at, 10 or 20% or something, because that'll mean that they've probably overprinted and then reduced it down to that just to match what the actual demand was. But this is really good. This is what I want to hear. I want to hear that LSS is deliberately controlling the market so that the boosters come out at a fair price, stay at a fair price, and don't get flooded, which is bad because the price of singles drops as people start selling boxes for 35-40 euros. You could get a Monarch Unlimited box for 35-40 euro in Europe at one point. And then the price of singles drops down into the 50p range, and anytime you open a box, you absolutely will just get hosed. Even at 30 or 40 euro, you still get hosed. You want a balance where it is possible to open good boxes that give you good return.
long term, because for us it's all about creating something that can stand the test of time. And we want people to feel really proud to own Flesh and Blood cards, whether it's Everfest or whether it's Dynasty, Uprising, whatever it is. Eventually Monarch, the time will come where it's many years into the future and Monarch will be this really old special thing as well. So yeah, look, that's something that we do quite differently with LSS compared to other publishers, where we actually, we have 5 warehouses around the world, one in Chicago, Amsterdam, Tokyo, Taipei and Auckland, and we hold that inventory there, and we only release it into the market as the distributors need it, and that's based on the demand that's coming through from the retailers.
I'll be brief on this because I think this was addressed maybe by Brian Gottlieb, but Majestic slot heroes seem like a new thing. There's a bit of negativity towards it. Can you explain, if that's even in your warehouse, as to why heroes have gone from mostly tokens to now Majestic?
Yeah, so I would say that it's nothing new, right? We've been doing high rarity heroes since Crucible of War, with Shiana, and you've seen other heroes over time as well feature at the Majestic and higher slot. So it's nothing new. For the adult heroes, I just think that they're deserving of it. It's not a big ask to spend between $2 and $5 to buy one of these Majestic heroes. Like, they are widely available. You have them on your website. They're available in most marketplaces, and any store that is offering singles to their players, will have them available. If you're just playing on the kitchen table and you really don't want to put that order in, you can play with a placeholder. And I don't think it's a big ask to make that $2 or $5 spend to buy a hero. Even a top tier tournament caliber hero, they sell at about $5, right? So Prism Awakener or Soul or whatever. And I think that those adult heroes so the reason that the heroes are tokens in these standalone boosters is to support limited play. So when you're playing sealed deck or your pre-release or booster drafts or whatever, those token heroes go into the community pot, and you can find your weapons and you can find your spectral shields and your whatever, your tokens, including your hero to play the game in that format. But when it comes to actually building a constructed deck, I think that the adult heroes are deserving of the Majestic tag. And that's very much the reasoning behind it. I want people to feel a little bit excited when they open the adult hero, to be honest, and just having a small amount of scarcity behind it, I think helps to lean into having that moment of, yeah, I opened my hero, that felt good.
I see what he's aiming for, but I don't know that it works with the existing Fab player base very well. There's 2 things going on here, right? The first thing is that due to bright lights and the new emphasis on tokens, and you see it in heavy hitters as well, there is actual incredible crunch for booster pack space in Fab at the moment, right? And you've seen, I don't know if you saw in the stream yesterday, but they have those 4-way terrible token cards. So you get a thing that has, I think it has Vigor, Might, Agility, and Gold on, and it's a 4-way card that has 4 splits on, and you tear it into pieces to get 4 different tokens. And this kind of just demonstrates that there is a real crunch in token space, in card space for cards, right? And that's the real reason that this change has happened, right? So let's break it down. So adding an extra card to every booster pack, you say, audience, you obviously asked that question, is actually very, very expensive because you're talking about mass market production. You're talking about adding 30,000 new cards, 300,000 new cards. It's not prohibitively expensive, but it does change your profit margins quite drastically. It does add a layer of things you don't need to pay for. So getting that booster space right is very important. And the fact is that, as we've now seen, the adult hero token slot can actually turn into 4 other tokens effectively. So if you ask me why this has happened, because a lot of people were like, yeah, but who asked, James? Who wanted this change, right? We were perfectly happy having adult heroes not be difficult to get, and just be able to get them for free from anyone, right? Oh yeah, you want adult Bravo? Oh yeah, here you go. Everyone was fine with that, but I think the real reason that it's changed is pack space, right? the amount of the game needs to rely on tokens has changed, and therefore those tokens have to be available in the packs for the limited experience, as he said. I do agree, Majestic Adult Heroes not needed for the limited experience, but the point of making them not a commodity was very important. When I first heard they had gone into the Majestic slot, I said two things. I said, either they're going to be too expensive, or they're not going to be fun to open, right? So for them to be a reasonable price, the drop rate has to be high enough that they're not that expensive. And they are $2 to $5 per hero, right? So they're not super expensive. You can pick up your adult hero for $2 in most places. That means, of course, that their drop rate is higher, and that means they are taking up a Majestic slot. What I would have liked to hear, and I think the follow-up I would have asked then, is, are adult heroes considered the same as a regular Majestic? He's going to ask this in a second. There's the problem with React videos, and then we'll get to it. But are adult heroes considered the same as a Majestic in terms of their print run? And I'll probably tweet this to James White after this. And let's do this now. I think this would be good. Saw your great interview. It doesn't hurt to be nice to the man who's made the game we all love with... yesterday. Interesting to hear a discussion about Majestic Heroes. Have they been added to the print sheet as a regular Majestic, or were they added as a bonus? There's a better way to answer this. Have they gone in to replace an existing Majestic slot, e.g. average 6 to 8 Majestics per box, or are they in as more of a bonus, e.g. we now get 7 to 9 per box average? I think that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, you guys can tell me. But I think that's the question I want to ask, right? It's, are they taking the slot of a regular Majestic, or have they gone in and increased the average Majestic drop rate, right? Because it feels like there's a lot of them out there. But also the main thing that I think, and the main thing I'm feeling and hearing, is that for the community that's already existing, taking a token and turning it into a Majestic is kind of feels bad. If it replaces an existing Majestic drop, then it kind of just feels bad. I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say you should get excited to open your adult hero. And I do get that point, but I also don't. I don't know how else to say it. I just don't. I don't get excited by opening my adult hero. Even if I like the art and I like the hero and I really want it, I just, the idea of opening a card I need to base play the game, not anything shiny like an E-Strike or anything like that. Opening a card I need to just put the deck on the table just kind of feels a bit rough. And I don't own a Shiana, and I don't own a lot of the Majestic heroes from other sets for that specific reason, right? And I can't just think, oh, Shiana would be fun and sleeve up a Shiana for a tournament. And I do feel, to a certain extent, gatekept out of playing Shiana for fun one day because of the price tag. And now, you're not going to have that experience with the Majestic heroes because, as he said, they only cost $2 to $5. But I feel like it's a valid point that they've gone from being something that was uncommoditized and very easy to get and people would just chuck in your direction to being a commodity. And I don't think that making them into a commodity at this stage in the game's life cycle actually makes them feel like a hit or a fun pull. That's all really the feedback I would give, and the feedback that I've heard from other people. And I feel like if you're used to opening 6 to 8 Majestics in a box, and now one of those 6 to 8 Majestics is a hero card, you may just not feel as great about opening that hero card. And this will probably go down as a change that's good in the long run. People in 5 years' time aren't going to care. It's just going to have been the way that they've known the entire time. But as an older player, it does just feel a bit weird. I don't really necessarily like it. I think the fact is that if I open a case and I don't get my adult hero card, I then have to go to the singles market to buy that card, which I also just didn't want to do previously. So Pros and cons. It'll be interesting to see if he answers that tweet. He probably won't because he's a busy man. But I think that's the main question I have is how are they weighted compared to other Majestics? I think that's a big question for the market.
Set has, speaking of heavy hitters, for people watching in the far future, has Marvel heroes. The second I realized there are Marvel heroes in a set, I doubled our order for singles. Because people always want the hero card.
These Marvel hero cards, I've been saying it for almost, I think, 2 years now. As that when they first revealed Stavro, I was like, why is every hero not just coming with a full art, Marvel version in the set it comes out in? It will shift boxes. It is the best card to open. I 100% am going out to buy a Victor Goldmain, probably a Betsy full art Marvel card. They are gorgeous. They are the peak of hero cards. For me, I have my Yorick on the desk next to me. It's one of the most gorgeous Flesh and Blood cards I own, and I was so thrilled. Just like Fluke, I went from buying no cases of heavy hitters to buying at least one, and I will also buy on the singles market if I have to an extended art hero card. So it's such a good win, and I'm so delighted. Now I don't want to believe they've done it based on my feedback. I think other people have said it as well, but I have been saying it for a while, so maybe someone has listened, and if LSS is listening to this, and if I'm one of the people who pushed you into making that decision, let me know. I think that would be fun to hear. So yeah, thank you.
We should probably reduce the cost of the Majestic non-4 ones. Marvel heroes are like, you open the hero you want to play, or potentially open your first Marvel. It happens to be Betsy. You might just become a Betsy main.
Maybe.
Specializations used to have the specific talent borders. I think an example is like Supremacy has a Solana border. Now they've changed.
Yes.
Is that a on purpose change?
Yeah, they changed for Monarch though, right? So it's a long time ago, and it was intentional. So the specializations, and now they have the border of that hero's class, right? So if it's a warrior specialization, it'll have a warrior frame on it, like Raise an Army, for example. The reason why we did it differently for those first 3 booster sets is we wanted to showcase the region frames more than just on the hero cards, because they're beautiful, right? But we always had the intention that those region frames would be related to the talent from that region. As we saw with Monarch when we introduced the light talent, then you saw that beautiful Baroque Solana frame on the light cards.
It's gorgeous, by the way. Solana is one of my favorite flames, second behind Mysteria. I kind of think I go like Mysteria, Solana, Volcor, and then the rest. Metrix is up there too, but I definitely like Solana border.
But on that early phase, Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, and Crucible, we wanted to express the region identity at that time, so that there was more than just the hero card itself with that region frame, if that makes sense, and really try and build that identity of like Dorinthia is a hero from Solana, and her specializations are really more explicitly connected to her being a Solanian warrior, if that makes sense. It's just an asset,
Yeah, 100%. It looked great in the early sets, and I understand now they want to shift away from it because they've got the talents that also have that border, and they don't want to get confused. This is a Dorinthia card, but Dorinthia's not a light warrior, so having her specializations in the light border kind of confuses things a little bit. So for game clarity, it makes sense to shift now so that specializations are in the warrior frame border. Personally, I think it would have been fine to stay the same way as well. I think once you see it's written with the specialization of the card, it's fairly comprehensible what deck it can go into. But I do understand the reason for the change. I like it both ways, to be honest.
Speaking of borders, it's just a statement, not a question. I think MJ's work is like the most understated but best part of Fab.
Well, thank you.
Because the borders, like sorting cards, it's actually a trick if you sort cards in.
I didn't know the name of the person who did the borders, but he is fantastic. Or they, absolutely a fantastic superstar when it comes to design. Like Fluke is 100% correct here. The borders for the Fab cards are so iconic. The ninja one. Oh, actually, well, we were doing talent borders, but in terms of class borders, the ninja one is just like up here, and everything else is miles behind. but the borders are so iconic. They're so recognizable and absolutely gorgeous design. So whoever did that, needs a raise, or just sort of like all the kudos the community can give to them.
Which I now sort of do for a living part-time.
Yeah.
You can go purely off border and sort a set.
Yeah.
More or less, because generic, without looking at the card art, you can teach someone to just look at the borders.
Yep.
Which is great. But they're actually very detailed. If you look into
the
border art, they're
fantastic.
Understated, but when you pay attention to them, it's some of the best art in the game is the different region borders, the little attention to detail.
Yeah.
And the symmetry, obviously, it's like the border of the...
Yeah. Well, thank you. That'll mean a lot to MJ. And yeah, she puts a lot of work into the borders. A lot of...
It was a she, sorry about
that.
Time
goes into those borders and trying to craft the unique identity and look and feel for each of the regions and the classes and talents. So, yeah, thank you for that.
This next question, I'm not sure if it's true, but someone said they think there was an original name for Flesh and Blood that changed.
Yes.
What was it?
Ooh.
Deathmatch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Is Heavy Hitters a throwback to that?
A little bit, yes.
Oh, all right. Comments in the comments section. What would Deathmatch have been a better name for Flesh and Blood? Right? Now, I like the Fab name. I think it works well as an acronym, but we have all been there. People have asked, what are you playing? You say Flesh and Blood, and they go, okay, because the name does have... It doesn't play well in every market, and I know the game is 16+, but, I'm in a local game store, there's Pokemon players, there's Magic players, they hear the name of the game, it doesn't necessarily work very, very well all the time to get people involved, so we do call it Fab more often than not. Do you think that Deathmatch would have been a better game? I don't like DM as an acronym, right? It's already taken, but Deathmatch, it's interesting. So if you think, Deathmatch would have been a better name, comment below and we'll have a bit of a chat about it.
Yeah. I mean, Heavy Hitters in a lot of ways, it is like kind of going back to OG. OG, it's got 3 of the classes that featured in Welcome to Wraith, and it's, all good old-fashioned smash 'em and bash 'em melee combat.
It's really upped its pun game, so it's really brought back all the level of puns that we traditionally associated with LSS. I tweeted earlier in the week, I think I said to James, have you ever had a pun that you didn't want to print in a card name? And he did not respond, which is what that comment was worth. It wasn't really worth a response. But I think, if you've seen the level of puns in Heavy Hitters, it has drawn a bit of community feedback. I think Vigor Girth has been made into an emoji on pretty much every Fab server that I'm in, as well as multiple Fab Twitch channels as well.
So yeah, very, very old school in its design intent, and yeah, Deathmatch was the working name for Flesh and Blood for most of its lifetime until one day, deep in that Shavasana moment in my yoga class, it came to me that Flesh and Blood was the name that it would be. But yeah, Deathmatch, there you go.
That's very cool.
Yeah, but Deathmatch Arena will be something that will that you'll see a bit going forward in time. Like it's iconic, and yeah, the name still holds some fondness for me.
Is it an original Deathmatch logo that exists anywhere?
Maybe in the deep archives.
That would be cool to see. Can you give us some quick summary of a hero that you've designed that you've scrapped completely?
Yeah, so this is an interesting story. Like Heavy Hitters, Olympia actually is a hero that ended up being because of a journey that didn't work out for that second warrior slot in Heavy Hitters. So we had a hero called Snyder, and he was based around this mechanic called Provoke, which was, he's like kind of always looking for a fight, looking to pick a fight, and kind of his shtick was, he was like insulting, rude, like a real prick, in a different way than Victor Goldmain though. The sort of guy that would go to the pub and get boozed up and then just like say things to...
Yeah, Victor Goldman is an entitled prick. He's not a confrontational... Well, he's probably confrontational as well, but he's not like, a bar brawling prick. He's drinking fine wine and insulting your mother's lineage,
cause a fight to break out. That sort of vibe. And yeah, he had a mechanic called Provoke that we were pretty excited about because it really forced that point of engagement or interaction that warriors are looking for. They really excel when they're engaged on the combat chain, and you see it with like Reprise, and you see it in Heavy Hitters with a lot of the cards that pay you off if they're defended by an attack action card. We put a huge amount of work into this hero Snyder, and the play experience just.
I've always liked that about warriors, by the way, that they get bonuses when the person actually fights them. Because, like, thematically, if the wizard is just sitting back and blocking you with non-attack actions, you don't get any engagement, you don't get your warrior boost. And to me, that's like peak fab capturing fantasy combat in mechanics. You know, if the warrior's fighting a brute and the swords, and they keep blocking with attacks, and attack potential, then the warrior gets so many ways to go around it. And if the wizard is blocking with non-attack actions, they don't, because the wizard is actually in a field 5 miles away, just being like, "No, you can't come anywhere near me. Look, run through a bog." You know, that to me is just one of the wonderful ways that Fab actually captures that feeling of an arena combat, fantasy setting where, engagement on the combat chain actually matters. So just wanted to point that out.
It proved to be very negative when decks were refined in CC. It just created the kind of play patterns that the team are pretty anti at this level of stage in our journey. So we had to scrap them quite a long way through the pipeline, and we actually explored a second option, a hero called Bookie.
So I think Provoke was probably your opponent has to block you with an attack action, if possible, or something like that, right? So it forced engagement by basically, it basically taunt, right? I'm attacking, and when I attack with Provoke, or I give Provoke to an attack, you have to block it. And then that probably turned on a load of reprise effects that just led to this massive, removal of agency from the opponent, and also sort of, powering up of all the warrior cards, even when the opponent didn't want it. So that's my guess for what it happened, just based on the name of the mechanic and how warrior works. It probably forced blocking, and that probably didn't feel good for both the opponent and also gave warrior tons of power through reprise when it came through. But maybe we'll find out someday whether that's right.
And he was all about gambling, even more Olympia is the prize fighter, right? He goes into the arena and he is looking for glory and gold, and he's essentially a professional gladiator, and he wins gold by winning in the arena, whereas the predecessor to Olympia in between Snyder and Olympia, this hero called Bookie, was all about wagering and building a big chip stack, and if you again leaning on wager as the mechanic, but if you could build build a chip stack that was a certain threshold, you sort of got some payoffs, and there were other bits and pieces that really leaned into a lot of the gambling tropes.
That's pretty cool.
You see a lot of those tropes still exist in the product as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Coming full circle, we ended up settling on the prize fighter theme for that second warrior, and Olympia is what came out the other side. But one thing I wanted to say about Olympia is we have big plans for him. It might be not quite so obvious with heavy hitters what he is supposed to ultimately be doing. He's really, really good at winning lots of gold. Where's your gold payoff? It's very obvious what Kasai does with her gold. She raises an army with it. What are you supposed to do with Olympia's chip stack or gold pile? You won't have to wait too long to find out. It's not in heavy hitters, but it's coming real soon.
So just to stop here, so this matches everything we've just been told. So Olympia added late in the design phase because they had to kill the other version, because they test with the cards, they come up with the cards, they come up with the concept, they test limited, they test blitz, they test CC. And when they got to final refined CC testing, it was too strong and they had to cut it. But that's quite late in the design process. So they added Olympia, who's got a relatively simple hero ability and plays with wager, which is an existing mechanic in the set. So they don't design a new mechanic. That's fine. But they don't really have time to nail down what his payoff is. But here comes in the beauty. And I've been saying since it was added, the expansion slot is one of the best things to happen to Flesh and Blood since its creation. The ability to add single cards that change the way heroes operate or their dynamics is fantastic. The ability to add a single card that gives a hero a little bit of a boost when it's not their turn to get loads of cards in a set is amazing. And you can imagine, I think, so what he's kind of telling me is that in the next set, in the expansion slot, there's going to be the equivalent of a... what's the card called? The one that hires mercenaries for Kasai. There's going to be an equivalent of a payoff for Olympia that uses all this gold that he's generated, right? And that's a perfect expansion slot card. It's here's something to build a deck around that will change how you play your deck, in a brilliant way that's going to make you rethink the hero and give it new tools. Like, if an expansion slot card, one card, can achieve that, like, imagine putting Luminar Ascension in an expansion slot, or Blood on Her Hands, or, you know, something of that level. The expansion slot is just such a mind-bogglingly flexible tool for bringing brilliant effects into the game when they're needed, and also a really great tool for exactly what happened here, where something was cancelled late in design, you had to put a new hero into the game, you didn't want to design their payoff card too quickly in case it was too powerful, so you can design it slower and put it in an expansion slot in the next set. And okay, it does feel bad, a little bit bad, to the people who like that hero in the current set and constructed, because you're saying to them, well, your hero's not going to do everything that it wants to do right away, but there's 5 heroes in the set, and there's already another warrior. Like, the impact is minimized, and Kasai is so cool. Like, people are going to be okay with it, and when that payoff comes, it's going to feel so good. And also, I think one of the best things here, and they probably should tell people a bit more about this in an article and not just in an interview with Fluke, and let people know that that's coming. I think one of the biggest things that they could do and they could take away from this is James White could put out a tweet being like, look, Olympia's getting more tools in the next set, in an expansion slot soon. You know, I know he doesn't feel there yet, but he will, like, very soon. And I imagine we might see a tweet to that extent in the next 2 to 3 weeks, once people have got through the actual hype. Like, you don't want to dampen hype for Olympia by making it so that people who haven't seen this video are like, oh, well, he's not done yet, I won't buy the cards. But I imagine in a few weeks, once people have realised that he doesn't get to where they want them to be, James will be like, well, actually, look, there is an expansion slot card coming through later on. So I think it's brilliant. The expansion slot, I absolutely love it. And I also just like the fact that James is telling people, look, if Olympia doesn't feel finished yet, he's not yet. He will be soon.
Amazing. I'm excited for these product releases that aren't products, like round the table.
Yeah.
Like not a booster product, you know?
Yeah.
It's exciting. People ask about print size numbers, and I personally actually have very little interest in print runs, because I don't think it's in a vacuum. A print run means nothing. It's very relative to the amount of players, draft or not draft.
Exactly.
To me, I've always just shrugged them off, but a lot of people did ask. So can you comment on print run sizes, and are there any planned changes, if you don't give specifics, in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, coming off the lofty highs of the COVID era, when, you know, everyone was, you know, there was just a lot of activity in that sort of collector investor space, not just for Flesh and Blood, but across the entire category and adjacent categories as well. You know, the times have changed, and you know, we all need to adjust to that. So yeah, print runs came down drastically from that era. You know, the Monarch Tales Everfest era. I mean, as I've just spoken to, we literally have shredded, you know, sent to the recyclers the entire Everfest Unlimited print run, because it just wasn't needed in the end. So yeah, there was a big come down from that era through to the Fab 2.0, you know, uprising and onwards. And but look, we're always, you know, keeping an eye on market demands and things like that, and also our product release cadence as well, which you'll see change quite a bit in 2024. We have a lot more products coming out. There's still the same amount of like standalone booster sets, so it's still the big 3 booster sets this year, which is, you know, February for heavy hitters. We have May for the second big booster, and then September for the third big booster of the year. But there's going to be a lot more smaller products in between those windows, and that allows us to sort of like change our approach to print run sizing as well. But yeah, I think that you're going to see a recalibration between, you know, or essentially supply and demand, if we're, you know, being frank about it. And yeah, I think, you know, we're always watching and making adjustments as needed.
It's good. It needs to happen.
Yep.
And what it relates
needs
to,
to
or
happen.
what it earns you.
Yep.
There's been, you know, top national XP would get a gold foil in the mail. I'm pretty sure most countries are covered these days.
Yeah.
That hit the first. Taiwan had a cool thing with 100 XP. I think you got a promo in the mail. Do you have plans for how XP will be used in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Celebrational was one such example of how we've used XP to invite people to this very special event. So, you know, you'll definitely see more things like that with use of XP in the future. There are still some national championships around the world which are inviting people via XP for some of our newer markets that haven't had a chance to, you know, to build ELO ratings to this point in time. And look, I'm sure our team will come up with a lot of cool, fun ways to recognize the people who have you know, accumulated XP, you know, over the years, and it's very much, it's still an important factor. It's just the reason why we have moved XP away from being a qualification pathway to the Pro Tour is to try and craft a different sort of culture that exists at the Armory level. A lot of feedback from across the world, the Armories became very, very competitive when people, you know, when XP was that important because it was getting you to the Pro Tour. And we want that in-store Armory experience to be not quite so cutthroat. So that's the reasoning why we have made that change for XP.
100%, like just
That's
100%.
rapid fires for you,
Yep.
and then we might end up with a longer question at the end.
Okay.
There's no way that this is not like every time a Pro Tour came around, every armory near me was filled with grinders just trying to get that XP, and it happens to an extent now for Nats, but it's not the same in any way, shape, or form. So it was 100% the best call. I have issues with ELO just because it's hard to go a good ELO system when people aren't playing that many tournaments, or you know, you have cases where people are actually staying or gaining ELO by not playing the game as other people play and lose. But it's better than forcing people to go and grind armories and beat people at a local level to get into the highest tier of events.
You know who Breezy is. Shout out to Breezy.
Yeah, yeah.
Can he collab on the Viscerai lore?
That's a question for Robbie.
Robbie, let us know. What's your shoe size was one question.
Oh, about 9.5.
There you go. I don't think that's why they asked, but...
Oh, God.
Tony
On the
Hawk-
larger end of the scale.
Oh, God. Okay. I know Heavy Hitters has got a bit crude, but we don't need to go that crude. Okay, people.
Oh, mate.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater, street or vert?
Definitely street. Love the openness to be creative.
Dash.io, is that actually adult data doll?
That was the intention. Yeah, but our team did not want microprocessor to be part of CC, so...
I love it. Yeah, microprocessor would be busted in a 4 intellect hero. That is brilliant. Okay, so Dash was originally Data Doll Adult. Wow, okay, cool.
came out.
Probably smart.
So the interesting thing was that for Bright Lights, we were intending for Dash to be a standalone hero, like maybe a majestic or maybe even a legendary hero in it, because like we couldn't go back to metrics and not have Dash in the product, but the intention was it was going to be Max Nitro, the Tekla and Data Doll as the 3
That's
draftable
cool.
heroes.
That's
then
cool.
Dash
And then a
was gonna be
legendary
like
Dash.
the,
Wow.
You know, this chase CC only hero, kind of a Shiana type hero.
Wow.
But then, yeah, as we started to develop it, and the
Can I just say I'm 100% against a legendary CC hero? Yeah, James, if you are listening to me and you listen to any feedback I give, no legendary CC heroes. They will either be a meme, but then because we're an evergreen game, they will eventually break. So let's keep legendary heroes if you want to do another one. I personally don't think they're great because I, would love to play Shiana at some point, but I'm not going to buy one. Never do that in CC. Keep it as a UPF thing. Keep it as a weird, funky thing. Never in CC, please, 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 please. I beg.
thing was like, if we're gonna bring Data Doll into CC, we're gonna have to preemptively ban microprocessor because that card is like a massive, massive problem. And we kind of like got to the point where it's like, actually, there's something really interesting that we can do with the storytelling. We'd already been talking about this of, the basically Dash sort of like uploading Data Doll into her rig, and that Data Doll sort of AI presence becoming part of Dash, and kind of like a rescuing story arc.
And it was really cool, by the way. Like, if you haven't read that story, I would 100% go and read it. It's really cool.
Data Doll was like, she's an AI, right? And she is under threat, and Dash kind of like, saves her and sort of makes her one with herself to carry her forward. So we're like, well, actually, why don't we just make the third draftable hero? Well, internally we call her Data Dash, and bring her in. And you can see Data Doll on the symbiosis shot, right? And the symbiotic relationship here is that Data Doll is like one with Dash, and so that's sort of how it came about. So yes, to answer your question, Dash.io in many ways is Data Doll.
Speaking of Shiana, adult Shiana, is Is that a plan?
Maybe. I know she's a little lover around the world, and that's a very special hero to me. So
No.
and she's been quite an
No.
important part of the story as well. The war.
I know that she's important, but in her current form, no. She does not get to come into CC. She will cause so much confusion. If you want to print adult Shiana, she needs to have a completely different ability, changed. She can't just be playing all these specializations. She will cause headaches for everyone.
Fourth Monarch story, we saw her be the
I like
feature of
Shiana,
that,
though.
voyage into Volcor to try and win support in the fight against the Shadow Hordes, and she has an important role to play. I'm sure we'll do something special with Shiana. She isn't on the current pipeline, but she's certainly always in our minds of where is the right place to do more with her.
I'm going to answer this one for you because it got spoiled today.
Easy.
Any plans to bring back the original non-foil EA promos? They're in the pre-cons.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Thank you.
It is a great idea. Yeah.
Rare collectible.
Yeah.
Some people, pro players, prefer them.
They don't warp.
They're going to bling out their deck. They still, a lot of times, won't put a rainbow foil in it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
See those.
I think that we got the blitz decks right this time. Rainbow foil heroes. It's the only place that you will be able to get the rainbow foil young heroes. They have the EAs, and the EAs they span all three colors of whatever that card is, and the card that has been chosen is something which is highly playable. Like
That's good.
The Agile Windup, for example, like the
Sorry.
especially the blues and the yellows of that card are like big hitting tournament cards. The KO definitely loves the blues, and the yellows are very good for Rhino.
And it gives new players something to sell if they buy their blitz deck and want to sell out some of the cards. They might have some value.
Very good for Levia. There's good cards. Those EAs are good cards, and we know that people will want to play and own them. And those blitz decks also have a lot more rares than any blitz deck that we've ever made before. It's also the feedback that I've seen from people who've been playing them at the Celebrational and kind of saw some of the games on stream. I think the feedback's pretty upbeat about those blitz decks, and go and pick them up. They'll be available in the stores from pre-release weekend.
Second last question. LSS and Grinding Gear Games collaboration when?
Well, I'm good friends with Chris Wilson. We've been, friends for 25 years, playing Magic together, a lot of vintage, and he doesn't live too far from me. He's just down the road, a couple minutes drive from me. So we do catch up and hang out from time to time. But he's a busy man, and he's very focused on what they're doing with Path of Exile. But who knows?
I mean, that would be amazing, and it would bring so many people into Fab, like so many. Anyway.
By the way, he is a big Flesh of Blade collector.
Really?
Yeah.
That.
Oh wow, that is actually big news. Yeah, because he's a big deal in the gaming space. I wonder how many people he tells that he's a big Flesh and Blood collector when he's out on the gaming circuit.
Yeah, from
know.
WTR. He's just low key, man. You just don't hear from him, but
he's been on Alpha Investments, I believe. He has a very cool Magic. Like oddities, misprints and oddities collection.
Huge collector.
Probably the best in the world.
Probably
for that. Yeah. Go check that video. I can try and link it below. It's a very old Rudy video.
A few years
and I never tied it together that's Chris Wilson from Grinding Gears till later. Like wait, and the accent, that's what gets you. I lied. That wasn't the second last question. No, it is. Look, actually, this is a quick one. Deathmatch Arena. Where is it physically located in Wraith?
Yeah, it is on the border of Savage Lands, Solana and Volcor, down in that sort of southern, what is it, slightly west in that pocket. Well, it's south of Solana and on the fringe of Savage Lands and Volcor.
This is the last question. What are your biggest fears and challenges?
Wait, 1 second. Let's, because we have this. That's too small. So it's like here is where we are. Okay, so it could even be this. This could be the deathmatch arena, right? It's this lovely little circle here on the map. That kind of makes sense where everyone has got there. It also means like it's kind of close to the coast, so we could see some pirates or something soon. Who really knows? Anyway, okay. Let's focus.
5 to 10 years from now, for LSS.
Yeah, that's a Savage Lands and Volcor.
This is the last question. What are your biggest fears and challenges 5 to 10 years from now for LSS?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is about making sure that we retain great people, to be honest. Like at the end of the day, the great products and the great programs, the events that we run, it's all about the people behind the scenes. So, we're very mindful about, bringing great people into the organization. We need to make sure that we preserve, a really positive culture in the studio, and we put a lot of effort into that. You'll see a lot of LSS team down in Queenstown with us, with the celebration. And in fact, we had an LSS team as part of the celebrational event itself, and that was a cross-section of the studio, just like we had the celebrational participants being a cross-section of the community.
And I've said it time and time again, the biggest challenge for a startup is the phase where you upscale your organization from being a few people to being a lot of people, and then obviously it's as you go, keeping those people engaged who made your product great initially, and not letting them feel like they've fallen out of the engagement with your company as you move forwards, right? So, he's 100% correct. Like, one of the main goals for him should be to make sure he's keeping those original people engaged, and keeping great people working at LSS. So I think it's a really good answer.
There were some, top XP players, content creators, judges, store owners, ambassadors, all kinds of different people were participating in the celebration. And the same for Team LSS. There were, 6 guys. Some of them were devs. We had the head of HR. We had account managers. We had someone from the events team. These guys are like super, super casual fab players. But, it's really important that we recognize that there's a lot of different people in the studio, and they come from many different, different backgrounds and different, talents and skill sets. But, they're all really passionate about creating wonderful experiences, for the fans around the world, whether that's, playing with the product, on the kitchen table in people's homes, whether it's in the local game stores, or whether it's at these big marquee events that we do. So for me, I think that's the biggest challenge. I wouldn't say I don't have fears. You can't live your life in fear. There's all kinds of, there's certainly challenges, but you've got to have some courage and some bravery and some self-belief and some great people around you to help you overcome those challenges.
I like it. It's a good answer.
And so that's what I focus on, is just making sure that the people behind LSS stay really passionate about what we're doing, and that will see us well into the future and see us stand the test of time.
Does James White give anyone else the impression he's just kind of a good manager? I've had good managers who, you'd come to them with an idea and they'd be like, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but why don't you go and explore it for an hour? As in, it's worth my company's time to keep you entertained by going and exploring the idea you had versus me just shooting you down. And I feel like James is that kind of manager where he's maybe he needs help with the admin of the running of the company, but actually on the day-to-day, oh yeah, I've got this cool idea. And he's like, man, maybe it won't work, but why don't you just explore it for a bit? I feel like he's probably quite a good team manager, in terms of people person. Maybe he's not so good on the project management side. That's just my read. Maybe I'm not correct on that, but it feels like as a actual team and people manager, he's probably very good.
James, thanks for your time as always.
Yeah, thank you, Fluke.
I've run out of questions. Floor is yours. You have any shout outs, announcements, spoilers?
Well, we still got more spoilers to run this weekend. We've got some box breaks. I know you're going to be doing one of them, so definitely check in for that. Want to thank yourself for being a fantastic content creator and supporter ambassador, especially in this part of the world, in Oceania. You're very much the voice of the Oceania community when it comes to the high-profile content creator sphere, and I really appreciate your work in launching the Fluke & Box online store, the single store. It's really important that people have access to the single cards that they need to make their tournament decks, or even play at home in casual play. So if you haven't checked it out already, do support Fluke & Blocks. He's doing a great service to Oceania and Asia Pacific region with the single cards. So thank you very much, and thank you to all other content creators all across Oceania and around the world. It's a team effort. We value all of your different contributions. That's very much what the celebration was about, was recognizing there's lots of different ways that people contribute to what is the global Fish and Blood community, and they're all important, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you, James.
Yeah, thank you, Fluke. Thank you, mate.
And of course, thank you to both. I don't know what this is. Oh, it's lo-fi. Okay, let's just put that off the screen. Let's just go back to here somewhere. Anyway, so that's lo-fi music. It wasn't anime, and that's all right. So yeah, thank you both to Fluke and James for this interview. Obviously, I have turned a 30-minute React video into an hour and 15 minutes of discussion, but that is how these things go. So as always, thank you to both of them. Please do, if you've liked and listened to this interview, go to the original interview. You can do that. You can give me another 2 seconds of your time. Click the link in the description. Go to the original interview. Give that video a like to say thank you to Fluke for doing this interview, because obviously this video would not be possible if there was not an original video to copy off. And thank you for James White for being so transparent with the community and doing such a great interview where he answered so many rapid fire questions from across the Fab community. I think he answered a lot of very, very good questions from a lot of people. So thank you very much to both of them. And thank you, of course, to people who are watching this video. If you have liked it, please do let me know. If you really don't like me reacting to stuff, you can message me on Twitter or you can react in the comments and I will not listen, but that's okay. You can have your say and I will speak to you all very, very soon.